Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Well, happy Saturday to all of my beautiful coffee beans. Come on in. We've got a lot to discuss on the Nancy Guthrie case.
I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, February 21st. Nancy Guthrie's case keeps heating up.
I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good.
Good morning, my beautiful coffee beans. Come on in. We got a lot to chat about this morning. Grab your coffee, something to snack on, and we're gonna get started in just a few moments.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
beautiful coffee beans. It's time to get up. Warm Betty's get the crust out of her eyes. Oh, we need to do a stretch. We need to do a stretch morning. Come on, everybody, stretch it. It's too damn early. It's not even 7:30 here in the eastern side of the United States. Oh, good gracious. What the hell you doing to us, Betty? We need info, but really this early? Yes. Today is Saturday. It is Delilah's day. She's a good girl all week for all of us while we put on this show. And every single week, except last week, we had a flu in the house. And if you guys know anything about me, I don't get sick. And I don't want to be around a bunch of sickos, okay? So you sick? You know what? Just stay way over there. Betty still loves you, okay? I still love you from way over here, okay? So last week, Delilah didn't get her energy ran out, and you could really tell this week. Good gracious. I didn't realize how important it is for dogs to get their exercise until you go one Saturday without a visit with the friends and the play date, and holy smokes, the whole week, she's got this like energy boost. She's got the energy boost packet, you know. She came with the energy boost packet this week. So we're going to have to, you know, use that sparingly. We're going to have to find a way to detach that and, you know, hang it up a little bit. She's a little cray-cray. I mean, good gracious. I mean, I'm injured. She's been crazy. No, I'm just joking. I clipped her nails which brings me to a next point with the Sebastian Rogers case. I clipped my dog's nails. I do have a scratch. I even have a little scratch up here from roughhousing with my dog that had a little snag. I clipped it. I clipped this because I clipped it wrong and it made it sharp. Then I had to clip it again to dull it down. So I got it clipped down so I don't get myself scratched up anymore. But I just thought we'd put that out there to the test. Cause I do have a small dog with small paws, and I do clip her nails. Their nails. Listen to me. I don't want to. It's not the gremlins. We don't add water. We don't add water. Good morning. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We're covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, and oh my gosh, this case has just taken us. We feel like we're just on a roller coaster. Maybe I should quit going like this. This is like the road we're on, okay? But we're kind of like this every single day. We're like this, right? Betty, was it ever put out that Nancy had a pacemaker and heart problems and needed? Yes. Yeah. That was known pretty well up front, which is one of the biggest concerns we had and why a lot of us stopped what we were doing and, you know, jumped in on this case to try to bring some attention to it and bring her home. And then obviously this case has turned into something much different than what we could ever imagine. This is, it's kind of funny because when you go back to some of the statements that I say at the very beginning of these cases, any case, it doesn't really matter. You know, I make some statements up front. And I remember thinking this was going to be just a crazy case because it was already defying logic. It was already defying logic on day 2. You know, it was so hard for me to believe that, because I did do research in Tommaso and Annie. I literally out the gate, I did not. The people that do stuff like this are different types of people. Okay, they're not average people. They're not normal people. These are a different mindset, different a person altogether. Okay, that can do this stuff. Even burglaries and robberies and stuff like that. It's a different mindset. You're dealing with a different type of personality. You're dealing with a different type of person. And so those types of people, you know, just like normal people kind of act the same, even though we don't walk, talk, or make decisions exactly the same. You know, we all have the basic moral compass, right? Well, the people that don't have a basic moral compass or a broken moral compass all pretty much act the same. Me. It's mine. Whatever's yours is mine. Whatever's mine is mine. Keep your hands off my shit, and I'm going to take your shit. Okay? That's kind of... Oh, sorry. There's my little beepies. I forget to use... I have a censor button. Okay? Sonia did buy me a censor button. And it's right here. It sits by itself. It says beep. You know, when I need a cuss, I gotta... Right? And I still, even though I put this out here, it's the only red button. When I'm talking, it's the one thing that you see. And I do that to remind me I don't have to cuss. I can just hit a button, right? I can hit a button. And I always forget to hit a button because the cuss word comes out of my mouth before the hand moves out to hit the button. Okay. Okay. I try not to swear on this show. We do try to make this a family-friendly show so young ears can listen, even though I do not think the topics of conversation are conversations for young ears, okay? There's a lot of our conversations that are not for young ears. There are conversations that I do believe children should listen to. Okay, stranger danger conversations. I think they should listen to those. And I think they should listen to details of some of these cases. You know, you want to start inspiring young minds to think logically and outside of the box. We're developing young detectives and investigators for the future as well. So we've got to be reasonable within reason. We don't want them seeing graphic stuff, which we don't show graphic stuff on this show at all. You know, occasionally something might be, we do give you warnings if something is, you know, on the side. So I do love my buttons. I am a button pusher. I am a button pusher. All right, let's get back to this whole show, guys. We've already got 250 some odd people in the chat. I also, last thing I'm going to say is I found out that I missed a few super chats yesterday. Folks, I don't ever intend to do that. When I'm running this show, not only that, my mind's not in the right spot this week either. You know, I've been stretched entirely too thin. We've got this major breaking case, which is devouring all of my time, you know, to try to keep up with the stuff. I've got 3 TVs in the house. The 3 TVs in this house are always on all day, except when I'm on live, because I'm constantly from one room to the other doing stuff and everything like that, researching. We need to have the hero. So no matter what room I'm going in, it's Nancy Guthrie. So I'm not missing anything throughout the days. I don't usually conduct my life like this, right? But this is a breaking news case that everybody is tuned into. Now, I realize people are getting some Nancy Guthrie fatigue out there, and it's because everybody is on this case running it 24 hours. We're running it. Social media is running it 24 hours a day. Mainstream media is running it 24 hours a day. So no matter where you go, it's Guthrie. It's kind of like the COVID stuff, right? You know, we got COVID fatigue. It was on our TVs, our radios, our social media. This is much like that, okay? This has been one crazy case, but every time we turn around, this case does not make sense. It defies logic. We're hearing that this, and I just want to start pulling out some receipts before we dive too heavily into our show. So first off, to start our show, we're starting to get, which is not shocking or surprising, okay? Because we had a few folks in here. I thought it was either a Black or Hispanic person. And we had a few people in here, and they said, "Look, I can tell you that's not a Black person." And I said, "Okay," you know, I'm like, you know, I don't like getting into those conversations because they can go different ways, and I don't. It's just something that we've learned to try to stay away from. But in the same grand scheme of things, you know, we do have to describe suspects and subjects here. But there was a lady in here, and she's like, "Look, I'm Black. I can tell you that's not a Black man." I said, "Okay." So now we were by process of elimination of this chat, we knew that we were dealing with a Hispanic person, period. This person ends up being Hispanic. So is this somebody that we are going to be able to find in our system? This is the problem that I've had, or that we've had, that I've learned that we've had. So if this is say a Mexican national or Venezuelan or Honduran or you know, something like that, somebody overseas, they'll still have the Hispanic bloodline. But the thing that we'd be looking at here is no DNA. That means their families, you know, all their genealogy is over in a different country. It's easier for genealogy in our country because that's what we have control over. The people that give up their DNA and stuff like that through genetic genealogy and stuff like that to have it, to find out who you are. I did it. I did the heritage DNA. Heritage DNA, I don't know if you guys remember, I think was one of the first that came out with this heritage DNA thing before 23andMe, before anybody like that. Hey, Cindy, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. John, Lady for Justice, Melanie, the real me too. It's nice to see you. Nikki, sorry I didn't say hi to you. We had so many people in the chat. I find that when we have, you know, hundreds of people going in, it makes it very difficult to say hi. So I'll say hi to you guys as you go come into this chat, And of course, I want to say Melanie says, sending love. It says sending love to BHB mods chat and on this Saturday morning. Prayers for whoever needs it. Please don't forget to hit the like button for BHB. Thank you. Yes, we work over here on this channel for those like buttons. So if you guys have not hit that like button for the old bets here, go out there and hit that like button. Some phones I'm hearing you can tap on the phone a couple times and it will like it for you. I don't know. I have an Apple phone. It seems like I've got to back out and go to the main thing and hit the like button on my phone, unless I'm doing something wrong. I don't like MacBook Pros. I don't like iPhones. I converted all of this because Olivia was with all of this stuff, and I don't like it. I don't like it. We've been working on it for 5 years. It's 10 times more expensive than Windows products and Android products. Like, I spend so much more money on apps on my phone than I ever did with Android. So at the end of the day, we're here until we can get off of this. We've been on this stuff for about 4 or 5 years now. We're going to be converting. I'm redoing the whole office, the whole setup, everything. So we'll be moving out. We now know that this is Hispanic, but that's not the major breaking news. It's this. This is the major breaking news. We've been, the sheriff has not been forthcoming with a lot of stuff, okay? So with this 84-year-old grandmother, Nancy Guthrie, that was ripped from her home in the middle of the night by masked gunmen. I'm going to call gunmen because I do believe that we may have enough evidence to produce that there was multiple people on that property. Now, I don't necessarily know that for a fact, but I think that there's stuff that's coming out that is producing some evidence that there was somebody out there. Somebody other than just this mass assailant. And there was a few things that I watched from some professionals on body movement, specifically related to this subject. And it does look like he is speaking to somebody out there in the black, in the dark. And we're going to break all that down. We were supposed to do that last night, but again, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate right now. I've had to put my political activism, my community and my county stuff, my county meetings on the back burner because we had this breaking news case. And I'm getting ready for an event that we're having in Sumner County on the 24th through the 27th. It's going to be a week-long event. So if you guys would like to come out or in the Tennessee area, please come out and support the cause. The main event is going to be on February 26th. It's the 2-year milestone of when he was reported missing. And this is the day everything was kicked off to try to search for Sebastian 2 years ago. This is obviously a very expensive cause for our channel to be out there for a week. Cost a lot of money. It costs a lot of time. It's going to be freezing cold, and I still have to work, right? So we show up, rain or shine. When we set a date, we show up, rain or shine. So I'm going to be out there, whether it's 30-degree weather, whether it's 20-degree weather, whether it's raining, whether it has hail out there. I make concessions, I make preparations, and we still move forward. Nothing is going to stop this event from going forward. So I want to make sure that everybody is clear and aware that we are going forward on the 26th. It could be snowing outside. We're going to be there. And we're going to show up for Sebastian. And here's why. Because nobody shows up for him. His dad. His dad's the only one that shows up for him. His mom, gone. Stepfather, gone. Law enforcement, gone. Community, there's not a whole lot of people in the community helping. There are a few, and I don't want to say nobody in the community is helping because I think it's unfair. Because there certainly are people in that community that are helping. It's just few and far between. So we want to make sure that they know we show up. We show up, rain or shine. We show up whether it's freezing cold outside or not. We show up. And we're going to continue to show up for the victims of crimes because that's what we do. Are you driving there? Yes, ma'am, I'm driving. That is correct. So getting back to this is why I've been a little scatterbrained. And again, just want to give you a blanket apology for anybody that I've missed on our super chats or super stickers. Never intended. But as you can see, we do have a fuller chat than we do this time of year. This is a breaking news case and everybody's tuned in. And of course, I'm kind of just off kilter. So I apologize. I know that I at least one person I missed, and I'm certain if there's one person I missed others. So again, I just want to apologize to everybody. So anyways, Let's get on with this. We have a situation here with black gloves. These might be a little more fruitful potentially. Now, we're hearing that law enforcement was called, was directed out here. This was on February 11th, okay? This was 11 days after this whole story started. Good morning, Turkey Man. It's nice to see you. So 11 days they were pulling teeth for law enforcement, because remember, law enforcement believed, they were looking at the family like many of us were looking at the family. Nobody wanted to believe that this was what it is. I mean, this, again, I told you guys at the beginning, coming back full circle, coming back to me saying truth is stranger than fiction. This is going to be a crazy case. I did not lie to you. I can always tell when something is not right. Usually when I sit back on a case, it's just to let things unfold so we know which direction to start holding on and going down. But in all fairness, when we jumped on this case, we were very skeptical of the family because of the close proximity. But at the end of the day, something still didn't fit. And what didn't fit is the fact they've been doing this for 20 years. Why now? That's the part that it was in the back of my head, constantly keeping me away from jumping all in on Tommaso Cioni, because in grand scheme of things, somebody close to the family, her being a matriarch of her family, her living in that house, her having some money, these are all the things that you would expect. But now you're looking at a much different issue. We're looking at we still don't know what we're looking at. They're calling it a kidnapping. If this was the sole purpose of them going in, this is a complete utter abduction. An abduction of an elderly lady. Why? And why are we not any further along in this case than we are? It seems like no matter what we do, we're still appearing to be at stage one. And no matter how we look at this case, it seems like we're always fighting with the sheriff. Even picking up evidence, critical evidence. They didn't even want to send people out here to pick these up. They ended up having, this was it sounds like a couple-day ordeal. And they were fighting against, the rain coming in. And so they ended up calling 911 to have these gloves picked up because nobody was taking it seriously. 1 mile from the house appears to might potentially have blood on them. These gloves are, one is one place and then the other one is scattered like 10 feet away. This would have been perfect. But I am learning from Brian Enton, more so than not. Apparently, there's a lot more black gloves around this area than we'd like to acknowledge. We were told this was a well-kept area, low litter area, that these gloves are kind of very far and few between, whatever. And now we're finding out from Brian Enton that, quite frankly, there are multiple gloves scattered around and thrown about the area. He said he's never seen so many black gloves in his life, which is scary because that's not the information we were getting. The information we were getting was that the gloves, this place was pristine, clean. It's not like other areas of Tucson. They don't have, the homeless life. And that's not true either. Everything that we learned early on in this case isn't true. We found out that they have free buses, that their bus drivers are being assaulted by vagrants and other, unsavory human life. So there is an ability for the addicts and the mentally insane to move about free of charge on the backs of the taxpayers. So the taxpayers are actually paying for their own burglaries and robberies in other areas of their community that are not usually touched by crime. Interesting. I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of shocked, right? Like, I live in Manatee County. Like, you expect crime in Florida, right? Just about every crazy case known to humanity prior to the internet had a linkage to Florida somehow, okay? Some of the most crazy, from even O.J. Simpson, He was he was living in Florida. He had a house in Florida. Everything that you see in this world used to connect right back to Florida. Well, I'm glad not so much anymore. It looks like it's always connecting back to like California, New York, other places. But once upon a time, so we got crazy here. We do have a little crazy here, but not like this, not where we're so stupid about, and I don't mean to say it like that, but I think it's ignorant not to have lights in this society, in this day and age where crime is rampant in our country and across this world, where people just want to hurt us just to hurt us. And you think it's okay not to have lights around your home when you're living in the middle of a desert with wildlife? I mean, and they're saying, well, we just don't go out of our home at night. Well, then you're a prisoner in your home at night. What if there's an emergency and you got to go out at night? Now you're worried about having to be attacked by animals? Like, this is insanity. This is insanity. And I'm sorry that people, when I get Mother Earth and crap like that, okay, but, sometimes this is where our government, sometimes has to, save people from themselves, okay? You got to have reasonable restrictions here. Complete darkness in a desert with coyotes. I mean, you can literally hear them screaming in the background. I mean, I'm a Florida girl, not a whole lot. I used to wrestle with alligators, okay? Not something I'm too scared about, but at the end of the day, I do understand wildlife, and we have lights here in my community. I don't worry about walking out and having a Black Panther attack me, okay? If we didn't have lights, could that be it? Yeah, it could be a Black Panther attack, or it could be some criminal coming to take my bills. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would want my bills, but you break into this house, you ain't getting nothing but bills, okay, honey? I'm just letting you know. But you're more than welcome to take them. Please do. Can somebody please come rob my bills for me? I mean, I don't think I would call the law. I don't think I'd call the law on you. I praise you. That'd be the only kind of burglar I want. It's the only kind of burglar I want. No lights for I can't speak today. Lisa, for observatory. I can't do it. My mouth ain't working for me today, okay? Observatory. There we go. Good gracious. God, you wouldn't think I learned English. Maybe that's why I got a B in Spanish and a D in English. I don't know. Actually, I got a C in English. I remember that. My dad's like, he had a sign. I had an F. I think it was for history. I hated history, which is pretty crazy since I'm like a history bunk now. Don't ask me. I can't explain life. Okay, I can't explain it. It is truly stranger than fiction. But I remember I got an F. My daddy needed to sign my report card, and I had to go, like a kid, about ready to get her butt whipped because she got an F on a report card. Had to walk up to, and he was flaming mad. You don't get an F in our house. You just don't. It's, and maybe it wasn't an F. Maybe it was a D. I can't remember. It was a bad grade. And I remember my father, he was spitting mad. Like spit was coming out of his mouth, spitting mad. Okay. And he looks down, how the hell do you get, whatever grade this is. And then he looks down and you are American. How do you get a C in English and a B in Spanish? Just explain that to me. How do you do that? That was like 20 years. I still remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday. I'll never forget that statement. How do you get a B in Spanish and a C in English? The look on my father's face. He was not a happy camper. Not a happy camper at all. No, he was not. So we've got people here that see this. We hear that they made multiple attempts to have this stuff picked up, and now, right now, to this day, law enforcement cannot tell us whether these gloves that may have had blood on them are part of evidence, whether they took these particular gloves and processed them for DNA. And again, as you can see, there is some, there are some concerning stuff here. And I don't like this being all blurry. I wish they would have been able to clean that up so we could get a good understanding of whether that's rust, discoloration on the rock, or truly blood. I'm looking at this and I do see some discoloration here, and some discoloration here, but I'm not seeing like smeared blood, but it could be. And I'm not really, let me see if we can, this one's kind of cut off a little bit. So the other glove is a little cut off. Is it cut off or is it just my screen? Yeah, no, it's cut off. So, yeah. So there that is. There that is. So, it's cut, the glove itself is cut off. It's not me. It's just the glove. And you can kind of see up here, there's some, stuff. So I don't know what this is, but this does look a little concerning. Something that theoretically should have testing done. And like they should be able to say, yeah, we've got this. We went out there, we collected it, we realized that there was a some misunderstanding, whatever bull thing you want to come up with, that there was a misunderstanding about the gloves, but we ultimately came and fixed and picked them up. But we know that this is the problem with that, because even JLR went on that ride to that one area, and there's a glove like in the what do they call it? The I don't know what they call it. The water areas, the flowy things when it starts getting water, when they have rain and stuff, like the wash. I don't know why they call it a wash. Sounds weird to me, but whatever. The wash that was there. You could see a black glove laying there, and we know that people called, and nobody came and picked it up. But in all fairness, it had already rained. But still, we've got a homicide or a missing woman that homicide detectives were brought in very, very early. And we cannot forget that, because everybody keeps talking about this lady being alive and stuff like that. And I don't want to diminish hope, but we are a realistic channel here, okay? And I can't sit here and make statements that I don't believe, okay? I'm just not cut from that cloth. I would love to be able to be more inspiring and saying, this is the best part. They believe she's alive, and we're gonna hold on to hope. But we're a true crime channel. We dive into these cases factually, okay? And factually, her chances of survival right now are so low that they're low. They're low. They're low. So low that this is almost unsurvivable. We're almost in that unsurvivable area, because there's a few things that are causing those things. And one, it's because she's on a pacemaker and she needs medication. She hasn't had medication in 21 days. The chances of her survival from that alone are very low, okay? She needs that medication to survive, to literally survive, and she doesn't have it. Now, we can assume that these punks that we saw on this camera, this punk, right, that can't even holster his gun properly, this dumbass, we're going to think that he knows how to get medication for her, or what kind of medication is good for her body. I don't believe it. I think we're putting a lot of hope in a human being that has no moral compass, because nobody with a moral compass could go after a frail grandmother. Maybe the young teenage nieces and nephews for ransom. Maybe I can see something like that, but a frail grandmother that could literally lose their life because of the shock of the situation. I don't know. I'm not too pleased with this sheriff, as many of you guys are probably aware of. We have more information coming in about the sheriff and the lack of progress. So the lack of recent progress in the probe of Savannah Guthrie's mother kidnapped by may mean the investigation will soon scale back its resources. Yeah, in touch DNA being out, the environment doesn't get contaminated. Well, the problem is that the Arizona heat, when they first, this is, a lot of people think as long as something's not touched, nothing will be bothered or deteriorated. But heat deteriorates things. Heat deteriorates. And the one thing that was bad about this whole situation is while we're all freezing on this side of the world, on this side of the globe, and this side of the state, or the country, Arizona was freaking molten lava for the first, I think there's just started getting cooled off just recently with those rains that came in. Now those were fronts that were coming in that cooled that area off. But before those fronts came in, it was molten lava out there. So the elements maybe not raining is heat. And heat does a lot of destructive things to biological material. And so all of this biological material was laying out there in that desert heat. And we also learned why a lot of people wear backpacks there. It's because you have to hydrate. It's so hot in the desert, you need a backpack of waters. So, there's a lot of different lifestyle that we that live, like, I don't live in a big city. I'm not like Keith living in Chicago. I live in Manatee County, which is just shy of 500,000 people in my entire county, which is still large, but far from a city or an urban corridor. Our urban corridor is nothing like New York City, right? So it's we're dealing with apples and oranges, and so we don't understand those. Being on this side of the world, or even in like North Carolina, where you hike and stuff like that, but you don't think about it because it's cooler there. You don't have to add a camel. That's it, Boogie. That's it, right? Add a camel. Yeah, that's it. But it's a desert out there, and we have to remember that. And, they don't have the humidity we have here in Florida. So sometimes when it's deathly hot out there, it doesn't feel deathly hot. It feels hot. It feels oppressive, but it doesn't feel lethal. They have lethal heat. I mean, everybody does. Anybody that's out in the sun for extended period of time, can have a heat stroke. Obviously, if you're losing more water than you're putting into your body, you will have a heat stroke. But we've heard of people being at a pool party. I heard about this kid. This was years ago, and I'm sure you guys remember it as well. But this kid was drunk. He was at a pool party drunk and decides to walk home. Well, he drops dead from heat. His shoes melted, but he was too drunk to even realize he was dying from the heat. And so he was a young kid too. I want to say like 20 something, maybe even younger. He might have been an underage drinker, but I remember this story, and it was out in Arizona. And I remember hearing that he was walking and his shoes were melting. And I'm like, you walk and your shoes melt? Like, that's how hot it gets out there. So, this doesn't happen but once. I'm sure it doesn't get blazing hot like that, but one area of the year. But just to put it into perspective, what we're dealing with out there in Arizona. So I think that there's probably more people than not with backpacks, folks. And as crazy as that is, I don't think the backpack, these are going to be things that help identify the person, but the backpack themselves is not going to help identify the people, because everybody's got them. Everybody's got them. So the partial DNA that was recovered from the home for the moment is unidentified. Technology companies and the FBI have recovered no additional videos from her home security system, and investigators have been unable to associate a vehicle with her abduction. Well, going off the very public interventions that they've done, the raids that they've done on two people's houses, Carlos's house as well as Luke's home. If we were to base the description of the vehicle off that, we're looking for a gray SUV, because both of those people had a gray SUV. Now, granted, one was a Range Rover and one was a Nissan, but they were still a mid-size gray SUV. So not a bright white SUV and not a dark SUV, a medium colored SUV that would most likely have an appearance of possibly a silver or gray color. So I think that that is very, very interesting. Faye says, I wonder who is Savannah's lawyer. We have radio silence from them. I know. This has been, I think this is going to be the nail in the coffin for the Guthrie family as far as the public media stuff that they've got. They have a lot of media attention to this case, and their silence is going to run that media attention off. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not saying that I want this to happen. When I talk to you guys about these things that I know are going to happen, it's not because I want them to happen. It's just that we've seen this so many times that we know what the next phase is. And what we find out is when families get silent and law enforcement gets silent, people get bored. They move on. So this is one of two things. They are trying to push the public out and move the case along very privately. Or something more is going on here that we don't know, or a combination of both. But I know that everybody and their mother knows that when you have a high profile case, you get more resources. Once media and social media leave, the funds start slowing down. So it's important to keep this front and center if we're going to keep flowing resources into this case. And the only way I see going on is because everybody's complaining about two major things. The fact that the Guthrie family's not contributing to the reward at all. And they're not doing anything to help search or provide any search instructions for people to help. And in my opinion, I, just like any type of project manager, I would be in a situation like this with the resources that the Guthrie family do have. I would be, getting almost a project manager out here to facilitate structuring public-private partnerships and searches, getting some new technology out there, getting some in private investigators, high knowledgeable, not that freaking unscrupulous PI, but somebody like the pedigree of like Jason Jensen that can come out there and start helping with the case and looking at this. If I don't know if he's even licensed to do any work in Arizona, but I don't know what the reciprocity agreements are out there in the Midwest type of area. But either way, I would like to see some type of public grid search, because at the end of the day, the only way you're going to find out information for the family is getting people out there to find out information for the family. You need to have a funnel to give, like when that was the beauty of what we did for Gabby Petito, is that all of our stuff was being recorded by the news. People had stuff, the news networks were running lives 24/7 with the cameras on live, like Jonathan's doing out there with Gabby Petito. And we would be informing everything that we found, because that's every 5 minutes at the top of every hour. That was where we started speaking to the parents inside the house and started telling them everything we know. And they would be, worried and nervous and calling their attorney, and their attorney would be answering the questions that we had from the public, from the pressure we were providing. And so we were getting answers to our questions from out in the road. It was just a different way of communicating. But in this situation, we don't have a person. We don't have anybody to really apply pressure to except law enforcement. And this sheriff, at the end of the day, he's done a terrible job, and it's been in the most public light. So his job, he's done. He's not going to be the sheriff anymore. He's most likely going to have to retire after this case. He's done. And he keeps having this pissing contest with the world. He doesn't like social media because we're holding their feet to the fire. That's the problem with mainstream media. That's why nobody cares about mainstream media anymore, because they don't do their job. They're too busy of stepping on. They're too busy worrying about whose toes they don't want to step on. We just step on toes. If we got to give somebody some road rash, we give somebody some road rash. We get the job done. And in our grand scheme of things, the problem here is this we're still having to deal with this sheriff. He is very, very reluctant on handing this case over to the feds because, you know, he still has his people he's got to try to convince to hire him again. His career's done. And then when he wants to have a pissing contest with social media, his career's doubly done. Social media will not allow him to advance forward in another race. You know, and social media's eyes are long. I would be, you know, people need to understand social media has a lot of power and a lot of weight, a lot more than mainstream media does anymore. Okay, we get millions and millions and millions of people tuning in every day, and you can see the numbers just on this case alone from any content creator covering it. Everybody's getting decent numbers. Okay, at the end of the day, that is just it. We are very, very, very powerful. And when mainstream media comes after us, when politicians come after us, their careers are very short. And it doesn't really matter how long it takes. Their careers are very short. So that shows you the power. So this idea that I feel embarrassed somehow for being a social media, I do not. I feel more powerful than mainstream media does because we hold politicians. We truly believe in the power of freedom of press. And we hold law enforcement as well as our elected officials accountable. We don't give them softball questions. We don't give them softball puns. We're sick and tired of mainstream media. Why am I here? I'm sick and tired of mainstream media. Why is half of us here? We're sick and tired of mainstream media. Why? Because we're sick and tired of being a psyop. We want the truth. We don't want a censored or sanitized truth. We're entitled to the truth as American citizens. We're paying for the damn truth as American citizens, and we want to know what's going on. And when you have people like this sheriff out there in Arizona, in Pima County, Arizona, that is refusing and trying to literally block social media out of the case, you will not win this battle. This battle will end up tanking your career. My suggestion would be to do some press conferences for everyone instead of picking and choosing which news organizations you want to pander to. That looks more like propaganda than transparency or justice. Just saying. And that's the one thing we are totally against here on the Bullhorn Betty channel and social media in general. We're sick of being handled. That's why we're here. So this is the case of Nancy Guthrie. This case has taken a lot of twists and turns. The local sheriff in the community has, in my opinion, failed this case at the beginning. Now, has he been able to cover his ass with additional investigative routes and getting back into the house multiple times to do additional testing? He might have fixed the issues, the shortcomings that were once very well known in the case when they prematurely turned the house back over to the family and had to shut it back down yet again. It was unprofessional and inappropriate. And at the end of the day, we are in this mess because of this sheriff. We are in this issue where we can't believe what law enforcement is saying because of how many times the sheriff has given us statements that we took as fact just to turn around within 24 hours and walk that back. It has been one of the most miserable cases that we can try to make heads or tails of because we're told here on social media we must listen to the official reports, but when the official reports keep getting clouded, what the hell do you want us to do here? Okay? And then to condemn or talk down to like Brian Enton, which is being just truthful. Again, why I like Brian Enton is because he understands the power and the privilege of the freedom of press, and he utilizes it. I don't have a problem with mainstream media and their journalists exercising freedom of press. It's when they want to cover up. It's when they want to give softball answers. It's when they want to pander at the peril to the public. That's the people I don't like, and I have never seen Brian Enton do that, ever. Just like there's a few people I like. Nancy Grace, she ain't bending over for no politician. Brian Enton's not bending over for no politician. Vinnie Politan is not bending over to any politician. Okay, these are why I respect these journalists, these mainstream media journalists. But at the end of the day, we've got some problems because the sheriff here does not want us knowing what the hell is going on. He wants to keep us confused because in the confusion, I don't know. I think it's stupid. I think it's all just stupid. He should just be honest. He should have press conferences. They're not doing press conferences. I don't know why. We need them.
20 excruciating days for the family of Nancy Guthrie and more questions than answers for the public wondering when she'll be found. Investigators zeroing in on evidence in hopes of finding a suspect. Still, the only key material in this case is this doorbell camera video. Authorities now attempting to parse through more than 10,000 calls made since the mother of Today host Savannah Guthrie was kidnapped. As we reported yesterday, the FBI is now in contact with Mexican authorities. There's no evidence that Guthrie was actually taken across the border, but it's an avenue investigators are exploring now, given the proximity to Tucson. Now, investigators are facing questions about whether they could have done more in the early days of the investigation. And
the question is, could they do more early? And of course they can. No matter, whenever you have any investigation like this, nothing you do at the beginning is enough. I can tell you that. So you're already... you're damned if you do, damned if you don't going into a case like this. But the stuff that we saw Sheriff Nanos do was investigative 101 mistakes. And that's unacceptable. And I think all of us saw that. It was unacceptable. It's unacceptable still to this day. And he's not making himself better by hiding himself away. He looks like a coward. And he's supposed to be the sheriff of this community. And he's talking about people, and I don't even understand what he's talking about. He made a statement yesterday. He's got people outside of the sheriff's office, our department, screaming at him, telling him what a horrible sheriff he is, and how is that helping? And I'm thinking, out of all the stuff we've seen online, I have seen zero of that. Have you guys seen anybody screaming or any type of protesting going on at the sheriff's office? Because we've had media up there, and I haven't seen anybody, screaming at the sheriff. And he's saying that people are out there screaming at him. And how is this helping? How is this helping? It's whatever.
One of the loudest voices coming from the head of the Pima County Sheriff's Deputies Organization, Sergeant Aaron Cross. He has blasted the sheriff's handling of the investigation, calling it an ego case in an interview with the New York Post. The sheriff, though, still defends his handling of this situation. Sergeant Aaron Cross joins me now. Aaron, good to see you.
Good to be with you, ma'am.
You've been pretty critical of your own sheriff, including, this case as well. What's he getting wrong? What did he get wrong? What could he have done better?
Well, at this point, a lot of the questions being raised with my members are whether or not that we should hand this off to the FBI and move into a supportive role to assist them. The FBI has an incredible amount of resources, personnel, funding that they can draw from to try and find Nancy and hopefully bring her home safely to her family.
So you think from the very beginning, I mean, that weekend that they realized that she was gone, the FBI should have immediately jumped in and taken over?
I think once this moved from a search posture to a possible kidnapping, the FBI, they're the premier agency in the world to deal with kidnappings. And that's something that our medium-sized law enforcement agency probably just doesn't have the experience to handle.
This statement, everything that this man is saying right here applies to the Sebastian Rogers case too. Because we got to remember, I told you guys when we started this case that this appears to be Sumner County 2.0. Okay? This is Sumner County 2.0. You got a pompous ass sheriff that's completely arrogant, right? That refuses to get out of his own way because he's so arrogant. He is so pompous. He needs the win for himself. He doesn't care about the victim. Any sheriff that cares about the victim, whether he feels, like this is going to be a hit to his ego, they will pass the case off. They would rather pass the case off for the betterment of the victim than themselves. But all too many times we have sheriffs and police chiefs that keep that in-house and let it drag on for years. Let it drag on for years. Why? Because of their sensitive little frickin' egos. It's time for us to do something better with law enforcement. We need to get these dicks and these penises and balls up out of it. We want backbone and balls to a certain extent. We don't want penises and balls so damn big that they get in the way. Okay? And right now we got these little guys acting like big guys. Just saying. Just saying.
We have 96 detectives, and they're very hardworking detectives, and they've been putting in very long hours each week since she's been missing. But I think the FBI's expertise is something that we should take advantage of more.
So Sheriff Nanos has also been pretty critical of you, saying that you and others don't have a clue what this investigation has entailed. Your response to that?
That's true. We don't know what's being discussed inside the homicide unit that's running primary on this. They've kept a lot of discipline and to keep information from getting out. They've been doing a very good job about that. But I think even the public has questions about things that they've been able to see. Us turning over the scene the next day, Sheriff Nanos himself at first admitted that they probably released the scene too early. These types of things undermine public trust.
They do.
And that's not something that you want to do as a law enforcement agency in the middle of what is one of the highest profile cases we've ever had in this agency.
And not only that, but, then come here and criticize the public. And then come here and criticize the public for being invited in, asking us to get involved, telling us, nobody's cleared, us using statistical and other things, and leaning on our law enforcement sources and people that explain this stuff to us. And we're shamed out of existence because this dumbass of a sheriff, and I'm going to say that, this dumbass of a sheriff wants to keep throwing gas on the flames. It sounds like. I did not want to be mean to the sheriff because he was a nice guy. But I've also seen him do a lot of underhanded stuff over the last few weeks as well that I do not agree with. And if this was, I can tell you, if this was my sheriff here and I was following this case here, I would have a lot to say to my sheriff. Okay? I'm just going to let you know, I would have a lot to say to my sheriff. My sheriff would not want to have a conversation with me if this was his case. But I also know my sheriff wouldn't have a case like this. Because my sheriff, he came from the ranks. He was ranked up into the sheriff. He worked his way from the bottom on up. He knows the processes. He knows what to do. Did you hear about the upcoming reality? Yes, I did. You know what? It makes me wonder. I mean, this is far-fetched. Like, far-fetched. Conspiracy theory. We don't do conspiracy theories on here, but I will throw this out here. Is it possible that this show, not even Savannah, the show was the provocateur of this event? That this show, in addition to knowing that Savannah Guthrie's mom lives in the community, could it have been something like that? I don't know, but we do know that the blood is coming back to a Hispanic male, which again, at the beginning of the show, like I said, there was many people that came here and said, look, it's because I said that it was either black or brown, and you could just tell because of the shading under the eyes. It wasn't somebody that was fair skinned. That's all it was. It's not somebody with fair skin. It's somebody with olive skin, brown skin, a darker complexion. And you notice that. So we had a few people and they're like, no. So we knew just by the people in our channel and their heritage that they knew kind of who they helped guide us. So we knew by the time of that show ended that we were looking at a Hispanic male. So this is not really surprising to hear that we have DNA from this Hispanic male. I think it was expected to be. I just wonder, is there multiple? When we found out that the glove did not match the DNA found at the home, they still didn't dismiss it. They were still willing to send it off for additional testing, including IgG. And I kept saying, this is so weird for me. Why are they focusing on this one glove out of these 16 gloves? It was very perplexing for me to, and I thought, okay, well, maybe it's because of blood from Nancy being on the gloves. Maybe that it didn't match to the DNA inside the home, but maybe it had Nancy's blood. Now, again, that was an assumption, and it nobody's ever said one way or another. So we can't take that as fact that maybe her blood was on it. It was just, a theory that I had. But maybe it's not. Maybe the theory is it doesn't need to match the DNA found at the home because they believe multiple people were involved. And of course, we are learning today that they believe multiple people are involved, potentially. They have not ruled that out. So now we're talking about having a group of dumbasses at this house doing this. And I'm calling them that because they look like it. They don't look like the sharpest tools in the shed. They look like they're the person that we saw on camera looked like a young punk that didn't even know how to hold his gun in his britches. Okay? And he did move around at night as if he was comfortable moving around at night, which again, very scary. I don't like seeing that comfort. I'm not comfortable moving around at night. You're not comfortable moving around at night. I mean, you would be around your own house, but moving in the pitch black around somebody else's house? Not so much. Trust me, your anxiety, those little butterflies in your stomach are real. And trust me, you feel them. I've done shenanigans before, and I almost, tinkle. That's how scary it got. So I know about them nerves. I'm just saying, I've done a lot in my life. I know about them nerves. I know about having, being so, you almost, yeah. Mm-hmm. So these people were comfortable. And then we hear something about the trends. We have to remember the trends. The trends come back in, even though it's not going to help us too much. The trends do come back in. It does help us a little bit because I think the trends help identify that maybe whatever happened last year. That maybe this was something that happened last year that they've been planning for a while and waiting for the right time to strike. We don't know what we're dealing with here. Still, 21 days, 3 solid weeks into this case, we have no earthly idea what the hell we're dealing with here. We know that a grandma was snatched from her bed, but why? Why? Let me ask you guys this. We've got like 836 people in chat. So, first of all, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button or subscribe. Actually, subscribe and hit the thumbs up button because we need you. We need you guys to keep subscribing and sharing and stuff like that. It helps build the channel. But let me ask you this, by shows of ones and twos, this is going to be a hard one. So I want you guys to think deep in your bodies, minds, and souls and tell me truly how you feel about this. Okay? Do you believe Nancy's alive? One, that you do. You still have hope. She's alive. And maybe I should take hope out because I don't want you hoping. I want you to dig deep inside of you. And I want you to tell me what you feel right now. What you feel right now. Do you feel that Nancy is still fighting or do you believe she's gone? I know it comes down to the money. That's what I keep thinking too. But who? Distant relatives. So we have a few. Hot damn. Thank you. I'm glad there are a few people that still have hope in here that really truly believe she's alive. I'm not there. I think she's gone. Even if, you guys know I thought she was kind of gone at, before she was out of the house. Like I thought she was, whatever happened to her inside that house, like almost a hit. This feels like more like a hit than a kidnapping to me. Let me ask that question. That needs to be our next question. By 3s and 4s, if we were to take this as not being a robbery, for the people that don't believe this is a robbery or have, this, how many from 3s and 4s? You believe it's a hit or you believe it's an abduction? Those are your two opportunities. Do you believe that this is a hit? Yes is 3, no is 4. Do you believe this is a hit? A hit or no. Sorry. Don't hit the button yet. Sorry, you guys can take it over. Sorry. Let me do it this way. Do you guys believe this was a hit or an abduction? 1 a hit, 3 a hit, 4 an abduction. 3 a hit, 4 an abduction. Do you guys believe this was a hit or an abduction? Okay, so some people believe it was an abduction, but a lot of people believe it was a hit. Because I'm starting to believe. You know what, Dave? I'm there with you. That's what I thought too, because I kept trying to figure out what would make this person what would make this person want to remove this person out of the house. And that's what I thought. Because it seemed to me like everything but this is when I thought this person was acting alone. I did see some stuff yesterday we're going to go over tonight. I don't know what time tonight. It'll probably be around 8 or 9 o'clock. It's going to be a late show tonight because today's my play date for the dog. And so I don't get back here until like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And so we're going to do a live. I'm going to be a little exhausted, so I get a little bit more goofy because I'm tired. So I giggle a lot, and I'm sorry, it's unprofessional of me, but it happens when I'm delirious, and I'm delirious when I have no sleep. When I get tired, I get delirious. So anyways, we'll have to come back tonight, but we got two things that we're going to, let me write this down so I don't forget. We got 2 things. We're going to be doing the video. The video of from the FBI. We're going to be trying to enhance it and see what we can pull out from behind him to see if we can see any individual or to see a vehicle. We're going to try to enhance that. So we're going to look at those. And the other thing is what we've, this second person being on there. But I thought this was it, Dave. I thought this was it until I believed that there was a second person or an additional person on that property. And then I thought, okay, well, he must have broke into a house he thought was vacant and found a person, probably essayed her, and realized that his biological material is there and knows that he needs to dispose of that. So that was my first theory, and one of the reasons why I thought she was deceased before she left the house. So that is one of my theories as well. But now that we're starting to see a car potentially developing in the background, and the fact that we're going to also be showing you the video again of the breakdown where it looks like he's speaking to somebody. It looks like he's turning around and speaking to someone. So that now we have, if we can put 2 people on that property instead of 1 person, now we have to start asking ourselves, was this a hit? And it was a hit that required cleanup. That means they hit the person, they make sure people know that something happened, but they never find the individual ever again. There's a lot of that goes on, and it's a lot that it's attributed with cartel, and they're saying the cartel's not involved here, so we have to kind of take that at face value, that the cartel's not involved. But I just want to let you know that that's what happens. 2 people would change it. It would change it. So I want to get those photos, enhanced, and we're going to do that tonight. Again, it's going to be a little late. We're going to be going late tonight. But I want to get those up, and I'm sorry I didn't do it last night. And I know that you guys were expecting us to do the videos last night, and the time just got away from me. Kidnapping book. Has anyone read that? We did touch on that a little bit on this show. We did have, it was on Megyn Kelly. She read some snippets out of it, but actually getting the book and reading it? No. But you know what? We could order it. We could order it. I could read it here for all of you guys. So you guys at least have it and know what's in it from cover to cover. We must find out from Miss Nancy's lawyer if she had a will. I'm sure she had a will. People in that advanced stage and having that type of money, I'm almost confident that she would have most likely have a trust. A trust and a will. I'm sure, her being as well-to-do as they are, because I'm familiar with, people of this, tier of society, because I used to sell insurance and other mechanisms to them, right? We used to have annuities. I used to sell annuities. I used to sell wills, trusts, or not sell wills, trusts. I used to work for attorneys that did wills, trust. I did estate planning. I did insurance, life insurance, whole life, variable life, a whole bunch of stuff. But it was all geared toward preparing folks for their retirement and obviously their death, because they wanted as much of their money to be transferred to their heirs with the least amount of government taking, right? Because the government likes to take half of everything that you work for. Whenever you go to hand it to your family, they want to take 50% of it. They think the government thinks they're entitled to 50% of your death benefits. It's disgusting. The government needs to get the hell out of our bedrooms. They need to get the hell out of our life. We give them the ability to keep us safe, and as you can see, they're not even doing that very well across this country. Yet they're taking everything that your families are working for before it even gets to you. It's sick. It's sick. The government works for us, folks. We don't work for the government. Please, please start changing the way you think. Start changing the way you think. Apparently, Annie's husband is her POA, power of attorney. Make that make sense. I also heard he has a gambling and drug problem. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. We heard the rumors of that, and I think it was just people bringing up rumors, because everything that we've looked at, everything in their background, I'll tell you, is she doesn't like getting off the phone when she's supposed to be hands-free, and she doesn't pay attention to road signs, so she does those rolling through the stop sign things. So she's got traffic issues, okay? She's no drugs, no violence, no gambling, no, rubbing of elbows with creepy people. I mean, she's got children. They make cookies. Her mother is over at her house several times a week. I think everybody's impression of this family, because of Ashley Banfield, I think changed. And I think it's unfair that it's changed for them. And I see why people, look at it. I looked at them too. They're not off my list personally. I haven't cleared them. I put them further down on the list because nothing really makes sense with them. It really doesn't. And when you look at Tommaso and Annie, you got to ask why now? Because they've been taking care of their mother for 10 or 15 years, 20 years now. They've been the only ones there taking care of the mother. So why now? It just doesn't make sense. And not only that, it seems like Annie loved her mom. Period. I mean, I don't know how your relationship is with your mom, but my relationship with my mom's pretty stinking good. I would put my life down on the line for my mom. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you know what? If something happened to my mom and you had a lot of people and they didn't know me, they would look at me and say, "Oh my gosh, you would do it." You guys would know completely the opposite. You guys know I would be in jail for the rest of my life for my mama. But without you guys having that knowledge of me, you guys could turn me into a villain. I mean, look at my background would probably make me a bullseye, for motive and everything like that. I've always been a hothead. Look at my history. Look at my criminal record. I had to have done it, right? But if you guys didn't know me, how easy would that be to paint for me? It'd be very easy. So I like to bring that up because, we need more than just our feelings or statistics. We need a little bit more. Like with let's give an example for Sebastian. Sebastian, we didn't know whether he truly walked out of it because we didn't know their story. It really wasn't until the father, Seth Rogers, started piping in and telling us more about his son that we realized the story that we've been told by the parents, by the mom and the stepdad, were not jiving too well. Yeah, they were little bit truthful, but not right. And so we started learning about Sebastian Rogers, and we were told that there was no violence in the home. We were told there was no alcohol, no drugs, all the things that we look at. Because like I said, there's 3 ingredients in almost everything making a terrible person do or a good person do terrible things. And it's violence in the home, alcohol abuse, substance abuse. Those 3 things are in just about every single one of our cases. Every single one of our cases, we either have a domestic violence issue, we have a drug issue, we have a alcohol issue. Somebody got drunk and pew pew, next thing you know, they're in jail, right? So those are the 3 ingredients that I've found from case to case, every case that we study. One of those things rear their ugly head. One of those things reared their ugly head. Well, now we found out at least 2 or all 3 of those things reared their ugly head in Sebastian Rogers. One, there is domestic violence in that house. Chris Proudfoot is a violent person. He's beat just about every single one of his wives he's had. Katie is his 5th wife. So this idea that Katie has not felt the back of his hand, I do not believe. I absolutely believe he's beat her too. But I have no proof of that. We do absolutely have proof that there was no corporal punishment as part of their parenting plan. That means nobody should have ever been able to lay their physical hand on Sebastian Rogers, according to their parenting plan. Yet we found out, moreover, that Chris was hitting him with physical punishment. Okay, so now we have the violence in the home. We found out Chris Proudfoot is a drinker, likes to get drunk at night, likes to get in bar fights, likes to get hit in the face and laugh on the ground hysterically when he's knocked off his ass. Just crazy, creepy stuff. And let's not even get started with him in his, with his childhood, So we have reasons to start looking at people and start saying, okay, these are fitting a very, very, very specific profile. And we can see that. We can see it, touch it, feel it. We can see Nina. We can hear Nina's voice. We hear that the Department of Children and Family Services were involved. They were involved at least 5 times. That was told by reports received by his father. So we know those things exist, even though they lied to us and told us that they didn't exist, but we found out they did after the fact. And it makes Chris and Katie look even worse. Why are they lying about these things? Why do they keep lying about this? Because they didn't want their son. Their son was a problem for them. They've been trying to get rid of Sebastian since October of 2022. Okay, you guys understand? So we do have these things where it's well known. Boom, it's them. And then you have cases like this where it's our emotion. We feel this. Why do we feel this way? Well, we already knew statistically we needed to find out who last saw her and who was the last person that had contact with her before her disappearance. It happened to be her son-in-law. So naturally, he's going to rise to the cream of the crop, right? We're going to be like, oh, well, we need to look at him. That's normal. I'm not going to criticize anybody for following the evidence of the case. That's following the evidence of the case. So we know that he was the last one to see her. So he already has the stink eye from the public as is. And then you add Ashley Banfield, oh, my source, which I believe, again, over time of doing this, you have reasonable expectations and you can theorize a little bit better based upon your experience of who's under the microscope. We do that here all the time on this show. We told you guys up front that Tommaso and Annie would most likely have to be persons of interest that need to be evaluated to make sure that they didn't have any culpability in this. Okay, I agree that if there was culpability in this, something would have raised its ugly head by now. In 21 days, that's a lot of investigative work with 400 bodies. Okay, you probably don't realize how quickly people can turn stuff out. When you have 400 people working on a case, you can churn and burn a lot of information and a lot of data. There's a lot of people working, okay? So at this point, we should know whether or not they have any scintilla of possibility of being involved. And according to the sheriff, they do not. Now, we're not really caring about the sheriff's statements because he's lied to us. And I don't know if he's intentionally lied to us or he was just talking to a reporter and didn't think it would be reported back. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm not buying at Walmart. I'm not buying at Walmart stuff. Well, it was stuff that was bought from Walmart, but the problem is everything was brand new. It appeared. Everything that was used that night was brand new. Even that holster for the firearm wasn't even broke in. Because even if that the holster for the firearm was for a revolver and not a semi-automatic, over time, being in the heat and just wearing out, it would have fit it over time anyways. It would just gripped it a little bit better. So even that appeared to be fairly new. So you got to look at this. Everything that guy had was fairly new. That to me shows some type of preparation. Was that preparation specifically for this case, or did he just decide, I'm ready to become a burglar and I want to rob people's houses at night, but I need my robbery kit and I want to go to Walmart and get a ski mask and I need to get some latex gloves and I need to get a backpack to hold all my equipment in. You know, maybe he did that. I don't know. Doesn't seem reasonable. Doesn't seem reasonable at all. So Chris Nanos is accused of turning Nancy Guthrie's case into a bungling ego trip. So this is starting to make its way across all social media, all media in general. We've already heard a bunch of people not happy with the sheriff, not happy with the sheriff's decisions. The sheriff is acutely aware of who's speaking about this. He's acutely aware of the gentleman we just heard from that department saying, hey, this needs to be sent over to the FBI. So there's people in their own department saying, listen, this is above our head. We want this case solved. We want these people behind bars, but we're not going to be the ones that get it done. We need to hand this case over. But the sheriff is not biting. He's not willing to do it. He's already allowed this woman, if she was alive, he's basically allowed this woman to perish with his policing. Okay? We were against the clock and he did every single possible mistake imaginable. He knows he did every possible mistake imaginable because I know he's listening to all of us microscope all of his decisions and Monday quarterback all of his decisions, right? So he knows we're here. He knows that he's screwed up. And instead of saying, look, I realize I fouled this case up, we didn't know what we were dealing with, or even just not saying anything, not even taking responsibility, just hand it over. Because I think everybody is sick and tired of dealing with this sheriff. He doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, we've been doing this a long time. How many times have we seen a sheriff put crime scene tape up, take it down, put it up, take it down, tell us one thing, turn around, tell us another thing, tell us this, then shame us, and how cruel we are. You know, I'm done. I'm done with the sheriff. The sheriff has turned this into a shit show. And social media didn't turn this into a shit show. Mainstream media didn't turn this into a shit show. The sheriff turned this into a shit show. The sheriff did that. And now this poor family, which poor Savannah's been fighting for her damn mom, and she's been dealing with this crackpot of a sheriff. Votes matter, folks. Votes matter on both sides of the aisle, as you guys can see. I'm just saying. They matter. You guys need to start thinking about your votes before you vote, because this could be your mom. I'm just saying. Especially you folks in those Democrat areas. No offense. But you guys need to be careful, because they're putting you in danger. Folks, Chief Hadley needs to go. He should have been gone. I had him almost out the door. Why people didn't keep going after I stepped away, I don't know. They waited until I stepped away, and after he was stepping down, I thought he was done. And then all of a sudden, after he agrees to step down, we quit covering the case, and a year later he decides not to give it up. Still in charge, and then the sheriff, the actual decent sheriff in Chatham County, ends up losing his bid. So you guys are screwed. But I believe that you guys have been, I believe you guys were screwed out of your votes anyways, so we're not going in there. The hunt for Savannah Guthrie, 84-year-old mother Nancy, has been doomed by Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos' ego. his vendetta against the FBI, according to Rise and Chorus of Critics. The high-profile case has missteps like leaving Nancy Guthrie's house unguarded in hours after the crime, baffling press interviews, and protracted investigations so far has yielded no clear suspects or strong leads after more than 2 weeks. The FBI is desperate to take over the investigation, but cannot unless the Guthrie family specifically asks, multiple law enforcement agent source told press. So the Guthrie family needs to force this sheriff to turn this case over. It's a common belief that this case has become an ego case for Sheriff Nano, says Sergeant Aaron Cross, president of Pima County Deputies Organization. No wonder he can speak. He's protected by a union. From the moment of the Today Show, co-host moms reported missing from her $1 million Tucson home. Nano's the top cop in Arizona's second most populous county. You have him in the largest populous county? What the hell is wrong with you people in Arizona? Good gracious. We need young. Think young. We need younger people that have stamina to do this job, folks. Why are we putting all these people that need to be retired into jobs like this? They're ill-equipped. They need to start taking their time and going and retiring and living their retirement out, folks. We got to quit putting. We're not a geriatric ward. And continue to hold court with rambling press briefings in the aftermath of Nancy's February 1st disappearance. And yeah, they were rambling press briefings, leaking all over the place. Crap, he shouldn't be leaking. He ended up getting plugged by the frickin' feds. The feds started coming down on him because he was leaking all the information. And now President Trump is screaming at him because he let some of our very our technology that nobody knew about, specifically, he let everybody know we have this advancement in technology. That hinders. Every time we learn of a new technology law enforcement has, it hinders their ability to investigate these cases. So they keep bringing the sheriff into the fold for the sheriff to leak every little thing that they tell him out to the public. It's becoming a nightmare, folks. His decision to move away from the general briefing to a cozy chit-chat with individual journalists has led to conflicting reports, confusing the general sense of the sheriff's more interested in damage control than clarity, as one law enforcement source puts it to the Post. The sheriff turned a serious investigation into a rolling spectacle, from questionable decisions to shifting narratives and a disastrous media cleanup tour that raises more questions than answers, the sourcer said, speaking on the conditions of anonymity. Leadership in the moments like this require discipline, not damage control, the source added. Betsy Bratner Smith from the National Policing Association said Nanos failed to provide regular press briefings has added to the confusion. This is Public Information Officer 101. I used to teach these classes. As a law enforcement organization, you have to communicate with media. Oh, wow. The same thing that this sheriff doesn't know, just like Sheriff Struggles doesn't understand out in Sumner County. So now Bullhorn Betty's got to go freeze her freaking behind off to show them what hard work looks like, since they like to sit on their butt in a warm, cozy office. He's failed. This is something this sheriff is going to have to acknowledge. He's failed. He's failed the family. He's failed this community. He's failed his community, and his days are numbered. I don't know if he's up for re-election in 2026 for whatever reason, the way he's acting. I'm pretty sure his election's not up until 2028. And in 2028, folks in Tucson, if you guys are tuning into the Bullhorn Betty channel, this is your time for change. You guys need to start thinking bigger, because, you know, these little things that you think your community is so safe, you don't need law enforcement, you don't need to pay the bill for the law enforcement. It's not for your traffic tickets. It's not for your little, car burglaries. It's for these types of cases. Look at what you guys have done. You don't even have a seasoned homicide investigator on your team. I just want you guys, I'm not trying to be critical of you as humans. I know that your intentions were good. They came from a great place. But I want you to see that this is why we don't do this. This is why we don't have bleeding hearts. Because it's this right here. It's not the traffic tickets. It's not the burglaries. It's not the people, stealing, the batteries from Walmart or an outfit or something like that. Those things are nonviolent. It's these things right here. When you need the best of the best to hunt for a missing grandmother ripped from her home in the middle of the night. Look. You don't even have a decent detective. You don't even have a decent detective. I'm sure their hearts are in the right place. I'm sure they're working their ass off. And God bless them for doing that. But they should have seasoned investigators. They should have an investigator that has 10, 14, 20 years of experience with those younger guys, right? You don't need a lot of experienced investigators, but you need to at least have one or two on the team. Right? You got 400 people here and nobody has experienced more than 3 to 4 years. Do you guys want that solving your case? I certainly don't. That's scary for me. We have people in our department that have been there since they were 18 and they're like 60 years old. We don't like turnover. Law enforcement should never have turnover, and you should never allow a pissing contest test to ground your most seasoned pilot or your most seasoned plane. Again, another misstep because of this sheriff. Delays after delays after delays when a grandmother's life hung in the balance. He wanted to delay over what? Over what? This man did not help Miss Nancy Guthrie. He did not help the Guthrie family. He has caused more problems than not. So I pray to God that this sheriff takes constructive criticism, moves his big head out of his own way, and let's get this job done. Somebody did this to this family. Somebody did this to this grandmother. We're all out here fighting for the truth, and we need the sheriff to get out of his own way. So, folks, that is the story. That is what we're sticking to. Thank you so much for coming out. Today is the play date for Delilah. Turkey Man, I did see yours. We do have and I've already got it all set up for tonight. We have a call-in show tonight. I have to get the stuff set up, but I can't do it until I get back here because we're going to go over two things. The two things we're going to be going over in this call-in show is analyzing the photo. I'm going to analyze the photo first. Then I'm going to open up the phones. And I'm going to do it that way because I want to make sure that if you have questions or you see something in the photo, if you see something in the photo, you can stop me and say, hey, can we look at this? I don't want to open up the phone lines, then do the work on the image because that's the way. And then, of course, even if you don't have any questions, about the photo, like I'm sure Turkey Man, you probably have some questions or statement about some other stuff related to this. You can ask those at that time as well. It's all set up, but I don't have time to open up the phones this morning because I have a schedule. Saturday is and last week Delilah didn't even go because my best friend was sick. So actually her family was sick. She had to go to work, and then by Sunday she was sick. So I've been waiting for them to be unsick so I can go over to the house. So that's where it's at. So we'll do that tonight. I don't know what time, Turkey Man, because I don't get back here until like 6:30, 7 o'clock. And it's going to take me about another hour to an hour and a half to get the show even geared up. We already know what the show is going to be about. So I don't have to plan the show. I don't have to create the show. The show is here. I just got to figure out what time the show is going to be. And I won't know that until I'm back in the office this afternoon. So if you guys haven't turned that bell to all, make sure the bell's on all. we're going to break down this video, the infamous video of this assailant. We're going to look behind him. We're going to see what we can lift from the images that were provided from law enforcement. And hopefully, maybe we'll see something that we didn't see before. Maybe it'll be a great experience. Maybe it'll teach you guys a couple of new things. And if we see something, I'm going to open up the phone lines and you guys can call in to the show and we can go over some other stuff. So Turkey Man, I'll be back here, but it's going to be late. So I don't know if you're in Eastern time zone or Central, but it'll probably, I would say 8:30, 8:30 probably is the earliest, 9 being the latest. It is the absolute latest because that's going to push us into 11 o'clock. So I'll try to get it sooner than later, maybe anywhere between 7 and 9. Sorry for giving you guys a 2-hour window, but I don't know when I'm going to be back here. So if you guys would like, come over and check it out. I will be live here, but we are breaking down the video. We are going to enhance the video. We're going to put it into Canva. We're going to try to enhance. That's the only program I have that I can show you online, that I can, screen share. So we'll do it in Canva and see what we can do. Even though Canva is probably not the best that I can do it in, I probably have a different program I could do it better in. But we'll see what we can do. And if I've got to pop up the other program, we may have to do it from the phone, and I may have to take a picture of it and send it to myself from the phone, because my editing software is on my phone, not my computer. Anyways, all right, guys, I will see you later. Have a great day until we get back here. And again, don't forget to sub, and don't forget to hit the bell. That bell, you got to click the bell, and it gives you options. You want to change that bell to all. That gives you all my notifications. So when I come live impromptu, you know about it. You know about it. So check that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Again, yesterday, I'm really sorry for, I know I missed one. If I missed one, I missed more than one. So yesterday, if I missed your super chat or super sticker and did not say thank you to you, I'm very, very sorry. I didn't realize I did that. It wasn't until later that I realized I did it. But I did it. So I apologize, and we'll see you guys later this evening. You guys hear that? You guys hear that? Look who's here. Look who's here. Look who knows when we're you don't see her any other time except when I'm saying have a great, come show them. Say, I know when mommy's getting off. I know when she's getting off. Did you guys hear her? She came right in. She came running right in. Right in. I'm ready to go, mommy. Today's about me, not you. It's my only day. It's my only day, mommy. I want to go. And I got to tell you, she needs her play date. She needs her play date. I had to deal with her all this week without her Saturday play date. And I've got to tell you, holy smokes, she is a wild child. She just wants to play. She had so much extra energy this week. Literally night and day difference with energy. So we're going to go run her out. I'll be back here later tonight, and we're going to go over the video, folks. We're going to go over the video, and we're going to show you guys the video and the area where he appears to be speaking to what appears to be another person. So if we have 2 people on this property, it moves SA out of the way. So now we're literally, is this an abduction or was this a hit? Because we're starting to, all the noise is starting to get out. The family's not involved, and that could be, we're not really all buying into all of the family not involved things, because if this was a hit, who the hell would want this little lady gone? We need to be looking at all these things, right? So I'm not quite there yet. We're not, I know the will of my audience is not to follow suit with Pima County and say that the family has been cleared. I know that because we've been going back and forth with it since it was released several days ago with my audience. So I know you guys are not on board with it just yet. You want more information. So, it's my responsibility to give you guys the more information. So we're going to have to analyze this, but I think we're getting down to, was this an abduction or a hit? And I'm starting to lean, because I mean, it could be an abduction, but I'm leaning toward a hit because I've believed from the very beginning that she didn't leave that house alive, or she was in the dying process when she was leaving that house. That's what I believe. And I believe that from day one, no matter what we had, whether it was the son-in-law, whether it was the stranger danger, intruder, whatever the case may be, I from the very beginning of this case, and it has to do with the homicide detectives coming in so early, I believe she was unalived in her home and taken out. And again, it comes back to because everybody's starting to believe all the ransoms were just opportunistic people around the world. So if it was opportunistic people around the world and nobody directly connected to this case, that means there was no ransom note. That means we literally have a masked intruder ripping a grandmother out of her bed and taking her out of the house and disappearing her for forever. I mean, that could really be what we're dealing with here. And if that's the case, then we're not dealing with an abduction. We're dealing with a hit. We're dealing with a hit. Somebody went into this lady's house, unalived her, and disposed of her so they'd never find her. That's kind of where I'm starting to feel we're going with this case. And that would explain what I'm about to show you guys next. It's this. So they've been taking this, what I have to assume, the stuff we're not supposed to know about, right? The signal sniffer on the plane. And it looks like they're doing coordinated searches and because this is an air flight, this is an airplane or a helicopter, I believe this has the scent sniffer on it. And this right here was over a landfill. So they even think that she might have been disposed of in the landfill, folks. These are the types of searches that we know are not giving us good vibes. This is telling us that they believe she's also gone. So you're not flying planes or helicopters over landfills if you're looking for an alive person. Just my opinion. So he has hope she's alive, but he's not running his law enforcement like she's alive. He's running the law enforcement like we've got a body to find. So, as heartless as that sounds, it's just the reality of the case that we're dealing with here. And I find that, this is pulling at my heartstrings too, folks. So don't think I'm just being able to talk, but sometimes you have to compartmentalize this stuff to get through it so we can all have an understanding of it. And at the end of the day, I think there needs to be a lot of changes in Arizona. And I pray to God that you folks in Arizona make the changes needed. I don't want to ever have to cover another one of you elderly folks out there because of something like this again. And then to have your case interfered with by lack of light, lack of cameras, lack of infrastructure, lack of safety for you. It's very unnerving for me. I'm an activist and an advocate for safety, for humanity. And I do it in my own little spicy way. But at the end of the day, I care for all human beings. I do. I care for all human beings. I don't care for the animal human beings. I want the animal human beings that are among us, the animals that are among us, I want them to be euthanized. Period. That's me. So if you're an animal and you like hurting women, children, you like pew-pewing people because you didn't like what they say, you're an animal. Okay? I don't think you belong. I don't think you belong. So we have a lot of animals that we take care of for the rest of their life, and I think that's a waste of money, personally speaking. So that's just how I feel about certain things, and I know that some of my audience agree with me, and other parts of my audience just don't like that part of me. But that will always be who I am as a person. I'm an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I'm old school. I'm as old school as you get when it comes to society. We all make mistakes, All of us make mistakes. We've all done things that have gotten us into hot water. Some of us have been arrested. Some of us have had to go to jail. Some of us had to go to prison, right? We've all had the walk, but we were never unredeemable. In my opinion, and I know that Turkey Man's going to disagree with me because he's a preacher and that's, He has his job to do too, and he sees the best in everybody, right? But I don't. I don't. And when you take a life, you've given your life. That's the way I believe. When you make that decision to take and claim somebody else's life that you had no right to take. Now, there are justifiable, we're not talking about them. We're talking about when you go out and hurt somebody and injure somebody to death. You made that decision. You've got to give yourself because of that decision you made. That's the way I believe. Why do I not have a homicide or a body bag behind me? Because I don't feel like giving mine for them. If I'm that mad at them, if I'm that angry at them, if I hate them that much, they ain't worth my time. And they definitely ain't worth my life in prison. Okay? The only people that are worth my life in prison are my family, my mama, my sisters, my in-laws. Those are the only people that rise to that level that I'm willing to give my life and serve my life. Okay? Mouths, people saying horrible things about me. I'm a duck, baby. Let it roll off my back. Let it roll off my back. Does it hurt? Yes, sometimes water hurts, right? Have you heard of hail? Have you heard of hail? Yep, we all heard of hail. That's water, right? Water that's frozen. It hurts like hell. Hurts like hail. Sonia will like that one. All right, guys, you have a great day. We'll see you soon.